Hi, everybody. Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with our weekly live session on Canadian immigration. My prayers and wishes that all of you, along with your families, are doing really well wherever in the world you are. Um, it's getting cold in here, so yeah, that's an update. First of all, so all of you who are looking at traveling to Canada anytime soon, although there's travel restrictions, and I do see a few questions wherein wherein people are asking about travel restrictions, and there are a few updates that I will discuss with all of you in terms of some travel restrictions being taken away and some other matters. The last week, it was a happening week wherein we had quite a few updates, I must say, and I will be sharing those first with you, and then we will move on towards our question and answer session. Today, it's not going to be as lengthy a session as usually it is, which is usually an hour, so I'll try and keep it less than that. First of all, I'd just like to welcome, so there is Ozzy. Hi, Ozzy. I'm doing good. How about you? Hope you're doing well. Sufyan is saying, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, Sufyan. Also, if you guys could mention wherein you're tuning in from, that would be great. Perfect. Some more questions there are. Okay, so I will move on to the questions. First, a few updates. The biggest, the two major updates that happened in this particular week. One is that for a lot of students who applied for study permits are waiting for that, there was a travel restriction. So right now, even only students who were granted a study permit before mid-March were allowed to travel, but anybody who was granted a study permit after that particular date, there was a travel restriction. So you were not allowed to travel to Canada. More recently, a few days ago, Government of Canada, the Minister of Immigration announced that they are going to allow students to travel to Canada starting from October the 20th or after October the 20th, so probably 21st of October. So that travel restriction is being taken away from international students. But what is going to happen is that it is only a specific number of institutions. So there, and I think I've mentioned this already, that in Canada, all institutions are managed by the provincial governments. So the health is also a provincial matter. So what Government of Canada has done or announced in that policy is that institutions, universities or colleges which have an approved plan in terms of the measures to handle students who are coming from outside of Canada, and that plan is approved by the relevant provincial government, students for those particular institutions will be allowed in. So it's not that everybody who has a study permit and who's enrolled at any institution in Canada will be allowed in. If your institution is one of the approved institutions, you can travel to Canada after 20th of October if you have a study permit. So that's a major news. Also, there were a few questions and inquiries by our clients as well, and generally on the social media as well. If spouse and common law partner, so if you are the main applicant for a study permit, you get study permit granted, your institution is one of the approved ones, and you have a spouse or common law partner, yes, you are allowed to travel as the spouse as well. And if there are dependent children, they're allowed as well. So this is major news, wherein first set of travel restrictions have been taken away. Now, another important piece is that this sort of became big news. But right now, anybody who is in this situation is not recommended to travel. You should wait for a while because the exact policies in terms of how the quarantine will happen or how other logistics will work out, that is still to be announced by the government. So no travel should be made at this stage unless that your institution that you're enrolled in, they give you a green signal and provide you with a complete plan. But this is the first step, wherein students starting from or after 20th of October will be allowed to travel into Canada if they have the study permit and if their institution is one of the approved institutions by their own province. So that's first. Secondly, another major development was the announcement of parents and grandparents PR stream. So this is the stream which government of Canada offers or launches in the beginning of year usually. So usually it is in January somewhere, where expression of interests are taken. Every year there are a few thousand spots wherein if you're a Canadian citizen or permanent resident and you meet certain income threshold, you can sponsor your parents or grandparents for a Canadian permanent residence. This year, there were a few reasons that first it got delayed. So last year, so it used to be a lottery system. So what happens is that there is a certain number of spots, like maybe there are 10,000 spots or 15,000 spots. Now, depending how many people apply, if it is oversubscribed, like if the spots are 10,000, but expression of interest are more than 10,000, they have to select these people, select the right amount. So it used to be a lottery system wherein if there are 15,000 applications, they have to pick 10,000, they would do a lottery and they would pick the 10,000 applications they're going to have a look. What happened last time that they wanted to change it, and they did a first come first serve basis lottery system or application intake system, and the required number of applications were put in within about 10 to 15 minutes, and after that nobody was able to access. So they wanted to come up with a different system, and that's why it was delayed in the beginning of 2020. And then we had COVID. Because of COVID, this got derailed. Now they've come up with the same plan, wherein it is going to be a lottery system. For this year, there are going to be 10,000 spots. So people applying, there will be 10,000 spots for parents and grandparents PR, and they're going to shift 10,000 from this year to the next year. So 2021 will have 30,000 spots. The way it will work, or the way it works is that first you have to calculate the family size. In terms of family size, it is you, your spouse, who is sponsoring, and your dependent children. So say if you're, and I've already done a video on this, so people who are interested specifically in the details of parents and grandparents PR stream, they can have a look at the video which is on my YouTube channel. So if you you look at your family size, then you look at how many people you're sponsoring, and based on that, you're required to have a certain income level. Now, there was some uncertainty about the income as well. So they have made a clarification on that. And what I will do is that I will share the exact details as these have been provided by the government. So for this particular year's parents and grandparents stream, the income will be taken from last 3 years, which will be your income in 2020, 2019 and 2018. Now, all those people who are resident in Canada, and even for those who are thinking of moving to Canada as PR or are in the process and they would want to sponsor their parents later on, this might be helpful. Once you submit your tax returns, you get what is called a notice of assessment, NOA. So to prove your income for this particular stream, you must have your notice of assessment. That is the requirement for this program. Because this is happening, like the expression of interest will be taken starting from 13th of October, which is 2 days from now, and up till 3rd November. At this time, people will not have their notice of assessments. So what they've done is that for 2018 and 2019, you will be required to submit your notice of assessments, whereas for 2020, you will not be required to have notice of assessment at this stage, but you are expected to have that particular income in this particular year. And then when required, whenever you get the notice of assessment, you're supposed to provide that. An important thing that they did was that they have reduced the income level requirement for 2020 because of the COVID situation, because a lot of people were impacted. So just if you have a look at just one of the, so say for instance, you're two people and you're sponsoring your father and mother, so that's two people as well, so it's four. So if you have four people in 2018, you would require a minimum income of 60,271. 2019 61,000, and 2020 49,000. So if you see, it's actually come down because the 30% additional that is required is not asked this time around. So this is one of the updates that I wanted to share. Okay, and one other thing that has happened is that they have allowed travel for compassionate reasons as well. So if you are supposed to look after somebody who's in Canada and that person is sick, you're allowed. If you are in a conjugal relationship with somebody and you can't really be married at this stage, they've allowed that as well. So for compassionate reasons, they've allowed some travel. Fair enough. These were a few updates. Now I'll move on towards the questions because we have to sort of wind up this early today. Okay, Godwin Obasi, and again, I excuse me if forgive me if I pronounce any name wrong. So disclaimer from my side. So Goodwin Obasi, can visitor travel to Canada now? So it depends. Right now, there is still a travel restriction. If you are traveling for a compassionate reason where you have to take care of somebody who's probably sick, or it is because of a conjugal relationship, only then you're allowed to travel at this time. Otherwise, you're not allowed to travel. I would suggest there is an email address. Submit your email on that if you already have a visitor visa and mention the reason why you would want to travel, and you might get a reply. If you get an approval from there, only then travel. Daljit, hi sir, my CRS is 467. How many chances for ITA and how many time for receiving ITA? 467, not in this particular draw. If we have a draw this coming week, and say for instance it's an all-inclusive draw, and my own opinion is that most likely it will be an all-inclusive draw, and depending on how many ITS they issue, probably the CRS score will be 469 to 470. So this particular draw, I don't see it falling down to 467. Maybe another draw. If that happens, we also have to consider that we are very close to reaching the target number for this particular year. So maybe two more draws and we'll be hitting the 85,000 mark. So will there be more draws after that this year? We'll have to see. Okay, so FC, will Nova Scotia demand category be open or it's permanently closed? It's not permanently closed, but when will it open? Can't really say that. With a lot of these provincial nomination programs, and also keep in mind that right now with how the situation is, even the economy has had some hit. A lot of these provincial nomination categories might not open all that soon. I've done a video on Alberta Express Entry stream, which is again a good program for people who are outside of Canada and who are looking at using one of the PNP streams. The minimum eligibility score is just 300 CRS for Alberta Express Entry scheme. There are a few professions which are in high demand, but since the COVID situation, they've stopped inviting anybody who's from outside of the province. How long will this persist? Can't really say, but this is not going to continue forever. It might be 2 months, 3 months, and then they are going to open it and invite people. So for a lot of provincial nomination programs, there might be a pause on them for now. So can't really say when will they open. Because just sharing for you folks that here in the province of Ontario, so I live in Mississauga, which is part of the Peel region, part of the Greater Toronto area. So the city of Toronto, Mississauga, and the whole Peel region, and Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada, but technically it is part of the province of Ontario. These three places have been pushed back into stage 2. So we were in stage 3, which was the stage 3 opening, and everything was open and relaxed. But we've been pushed back into stage 2. So all restaurants where there was in-house dining, that has been stopped. A lot of like gyms and athletic facilities where you were allowed indoors, that's been closed as well. So we've moved into the second wave officially, and that means that there has to be some restriction. So because of that, when will these PNPs open? Can't really say 100% on that. Aman Shahid, job offer issue can be solved. Absolutely no clue what you're asking. If you want to have a job offer, you start applying to the employers, and you will be able to get maybe you're able to sell your skills well to an employer, and they can offer you a job. Muhammad Ozi, how long does it take after submitting all the docs, including medical? Normally, the timeline is that you are your application, 80% of the applications are supposed to be processed within 6 months, but that's not. If an application they feel they need to do scrutiny, they will do the scrutiny that they want, even if it takes 9 months. But most of the applications were usually processed between 4 to 6 months. Right now, there can be delays. Sufyan, if I study MBA in the cheapest institute from Canada, can I get PR? Now, Sufyan, keep in mind, the PR options that you have, or the postgraduate work permit options that you get to have, they're not dependent on the fee of the institution. It is very important to have the right orientation and right information, so the fee of your institution doesn't matter. What matters is that is your institution a DLI, a designated learning institution, which is authorized for students to study in that institution and then be eligible for postgraduate work permit. Because for a lot of students who study in Canada, the PR pathway is through the postgraduate work permit. You finish your study, depending on the duration of your study, you get a postgraduate work permit. If your study was for 1 year, you'll get it for 1 year. If it was for 2 years, you can get it up to for a duration of up to 3 years. And you get this postgraduate work permit. On the basis of this postgraduate work permit is that you start working, that you get Canadian experience, and with all these like Canadian study, Canadian work experience, you're able to secure enough points to apply for a PR or for a provincial PR or under the federal stream. And if you have previous experience, that counts as well. Now, if your institution, if you're just looking at the fee, and you find an institution which is a designated learning, which is not a DLI, or if it is a DLI, maybe it is not, students who are studying in that institution are not eligible for a postgraduate work permit. Then once you finish your study, you will not have the chance of staying back in Canada and gaining some experience and gaining those points. In that case, you will only be able to use points for your education overall, Canadian education, those additional points, depending on which stream, what was the length of your qualification, 15 CRS or 30 CRS, or for the particular province, and then your previous credentials, your work experience stuff. So you lose out on the chance of getting the postgraduate work permit. So what you have to look is not the fees, but you have to check if the institution that you intend to do your MBA from, will it make you eligible for postgraduate work permit or not. Now that's something that you have to check from your institution. Hope this helps. FC. Will Alberta occupation in demand open anytime soon? Is it true that the CRS is low? I am from UAE. I've already talked about this. So currently it is closed. They are not inviting people from outside of Alberta, actually, not even just Canada. I have recently made a video and uploaded that. So if you go on the YouTube channel, Shariq Immigration, and you look at the provincial nomination, there is a playlist, provincial nomination. The recent video that you will find is Alberta Express Entry Stream. And I've provided all the details in that. How does it work? How can you look for NOCs? The CRS, yes, the minimum eligibility CRS is just 300, but that's minimum eligibility. Doesn't mean everybody with 300 will be invited. There are specific professions and there are specific factors which help you get invitation for that. So it's true that low CRS is required. Sufyan is saying that he's from Pakistan, Multan. Great, the city of saints in Pakistan. Goodwin Abasi, can apply for visit visa now? You can. Visit visa applications are open. Your initial question was if you can travel. Now, I thought that you already have a visit visa. You can submit your visit visa applications at this stage. Most likely it will be kept on hold until and unless, like either if they find that your application is not worth looking at it, they'll reject it, or they will keep it on a hold until unless you have a compassionate reason, wherein you have to travel for a reason which is you have to take care of somebody who's in Canada, or as I mentioned, you're the common law partner or spouse of somebody who's based in Canada. If it is to visit family in general, do tourism, at this stage, such visit visa applications will either be declined or kept on hold. Manshad, Alberta, Saskatchewan, British. Aman, you need to work on the terminologies. Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Council, and it's not even immigration. It's not British Council. I think you wanted to say British Columbia. These are all different provinces. So it's Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, all different provinces. I have videos on each of most of these. Have a look at the playlist, which is there on my YouTube channel, about all these different PNP streams, and maybe you can find some. One thing you need to keep in mind, folks, immigration is it's simple, but it's not that simple. There are so many streams, there are so many possibilities. If you want to do it yourself, then you have to look at all these details. You have to do the research and then proceed with it. Or otherwise, simply putting, I don't, like I'm an RCIC, I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, a licensed immigration counsel based in Canada. Government of Canada allows us to advise and represent cases on Canadian immigration. So this is my bread and butter. But I don't promote that you have to use the services of an RCIC or a Canadian immigration lawyer. But I do say that if you want to use the services, only use the services of RCIC and Canadian immigration lawyer, because only these are allowed. All these consultants that you will find in different parts of the world, if they're not RCIC, if they're not Canadian immigration lawyer, they're not authorized. They're just doing an illegal practice. So I don't say that you have to use my services or services of a colleague like mine. But if you want to have case-specific advising, then you have to use the paid services. Otherwise, you have to do research. A lot of people don't do the research, and they're looking for specific information. There's a lot of research that is to be done for each case. So just as Aman, you mentioned so many provinces, look for details of all these provinces and see where do you meet eligibility, and do that research, and then finalize how. SC, will Saskatchewan give you points for having an aunt living in Ontario but Canadian citizen? So what are the points like? Saskatchewan will not give you points for having a relative outside of Saskatchewan. If you have a relative outside of Saskatchewan, a close relative, that can actually be taken as a negative thing. First, Saskatchewan doesn't give you points for aunt, and again, you have to have a look in detail, read about Saskatchewan. It's all online. You need to find that out. If you have a close relative in a different province, that actually becomes negative because they feel that you will use that PNP, move into that province, and likelihood is that because you have a relative in some other province, most likely you will leave this particular province, if you're talking of Saskatchewan in this case, and then move to Ontario because you have a close relative over there. The whole reason that they give you additional points for having a close relative in that province is that, say for instance, Alberta, it gives a preference to people who have a close relative in Alberta. And the reason is that, say for instance, if you have a brother or sister living in Alberta and you get the PNP, you move in because you have family as well. So likelihood is that you're going to stay there and be settled over there. Whereas if you have a brother or sister in Ontario or British Columbia and you move to Alberta, now the chances are that you might not want to stay in that province. And because you have family outside of that province also, so the likelihood is now you'll move out. So you get points for relative in that province. Yes, if you have a sibling who's anywhere in Canada, and if you're going for a program like Ontario or Alberta for that matter, which is CRS based, you do get 15 additional points for that. Sufyan, you again have a very vague question. How many years does it take to get citizenship of Canada? It depends in what context you're asking this question. Right now, once you become a permanent resident, from that time, in next 5 years, whenever you complete 3 years of residency, you can apply for citizenship. So if you become a PR on a skilled migration basis, it will be 3 years from that time. Now you have to accumulate those 3 years. It can be in one go. It can be breaks. So it might actually take 4 years for somebody to reach that 3 years residency. For those who are in Canada on a legal temporary resident status, like a student or a work permit holder, they can have up to 1 year of their temporary residence time used as part of that 3-year residency. So it is usually like if you've been a student in Canada for say 2 years, half of that time can be considered. So maximum of up to 1 year. So say if you stay in Canada as a student and then as a work permit holder for 3 years, 1 year of that can be transferred for your residency obligations for citizenship. So then it will be. So it will depend what pathway you had towards your citizenship. Sumit, birth certificate submission is mandatory or not for the single candidate? And I don't have transcripts. Is it mandatory to upload transcripts or not if you have ECA and detailed marks and degrees? If you have ECA, because the ACA body would have done your ECA on the basis of some educational transcripts, mark sheet or whatever. So whatever you had, basically it is your ECA which is important. And all of the supporting documents that you submitted with the ECA, you can submit that. Birth certificate is not mandatory. It is actually your passport which is mandatory, from where they take all the details. Okay, there's quite a lot of questions today. We're already at 30 minutes mark. Moving on. Alain, good day from South Africa. Lovely place, and you guys are being the South Pole, like Australia and Argentina. You guys are moving into your summers now. So while we're a little sad here in Canada because summers is already sort of gone and winter's coming in. Enjoy your summer, and good to see you in our session. Alain is a regular attendee. Shivam, hi, for showing the proof of funds. I recently sold shares through a stock broke firm and received money into my saving account. So what proof can I submit? Your transaction. Just provide this whole trail. The transaction, like you can, there must be some kind of sale receipt or something like that, which showed that you sold these many shares. You got this much money, and that money would have transferred into your bank account. So that's good enough. Explain that in a letter as well. The Braze, any chance 461? Not in next 2 to 3 draws, I believe. Sachin is asking the same question. 461, not right now. Sachin. Anthony, can we see a drop of CS score to 459 to 463 range this year? Highly unlikely, in all honesty, and the reason is that right now, excuse me, we are at 400 and 471. My own opinion is that whatever draws happen this year would most likely be all-inclusive draws. So that's what I feel. But we are already very close to the annual target for this year, 85,000. So that's the number of invites that might come. So if we have 2 draws, about 4,000 each, that's like another 8,000 people. So either they'll have to only do 2 to 3 more draws, or they may only or they may reduce the number of invitations in each draw, or they may like the frequency of draws, which is every 2 weeks, they might have to change that. So let's see, and they may go even beyond 85,000. That's their choice. It's just a target. So let's see how these things unfold. If we only see about 10,000 more ITAs, we'll have to see what is the frequency. If the frequency is not kept as it has been, like every 2 weeks, that might actually impact the rate at which the CRS has dropped, because that means if it is like 4 weeks, if the next draw is after 4 weeks, that means more people would have entered the pool in the time period between which we had the last draw and the next draw, and that would definitely mean more people in the high CRS score range. So the CRS might not fall. So let's see how that sort of works around. Altaf, I got the ITA and I've applied non-accompanying spouse. How much will it take to take my spouse and children to Canada after I land in Canada? It will not take anything. It will just be a sponsorship application once you're in Canada. It's a paper-based application. And the time before COVID situation, it was 10 to 12 months. Now it is taking a lot longer than that. So once you land, you get your PR done, you have your documentation from here, you can submit the paper-based spousal sponsorship application, which you have to do from within Canada. And as I said, it's a paper-based application. So you provide all the documentation, and then it's usually it was about 10 months, but now it's a little longer than that. KKKK, how are you? I'm well, and yes, it's been a while that you've shown up on this forum and session. Hope. What are the chances of CRS 456 knock or SIMP knock 061? 68 SIMP, there is a possibility, although we've had this discussion where your knock was there, then it was sort of taken off. 456, in all honesty, right now I don't see that it will be possible this year. At least next year, let's see how they roll out the draws. This year, it's not likely. Tanveer, 468 score, any chance coming draw? Tanveer, most likely not this particular draw. What I feel, the score might be 469, 470. But you never know. It might, you're just there on the borderline. But I don't feel that it will fall 3 CRS points compared with the last draw. But maybe the next one. AJ Meadow. Hi, I'm working in Alberta and residing on. I need to apply for. Do I need to reside? You've asked this question previously as well, and I mentioned that you have to, or probably you asked this question by posting on the comment section somewhere, because this seems familiar. You understand that in Canada, it is based on your residency, where you're residing, where you have your health card. Now, if you have your health card from Saskatchewan, you can't really be claiming your residency in Alberta for any purpose. If you have your driving license and stuff from there, if you you have to see where you are residing, what is your residency status. So based on that, if you're in Saskatchewan, it wouldn't really work for that. Okay, Sikandar Ali Mali brother, Saima Sikandar here. I'm physiotherapist. I would like to know how much time required for expression of interest for PNP. You have to rephrase your question. I didn't really expression of interest for PNP. Expression of interest is something that you submit. So depending on which province you're applying for, it is what you submit. It's and each PNP has its own requirements. So I'm not really sure how to sort of answer that. Alain, do you think Canada government will allow approved PR after 18 March 2020 to land? Secondly, are they allowing PPR email be received by Outland? So yes, they. It seems likely that they will be moving towards, just as I mentioned in the beginning of the session, that they've come up with a policy to allow students who got the study permit or who are enrolled in specific institutions which have an approved plan. So PR is definitely way higher on priority list compared with that. No, right now PPR email not for Outland. It is for inland folks. Yeah. Okay. Faizan Raza, I'm already in the express entry pool for 440 points. What are the chances of getting visit visa with me being in the express entry? You can still apply. There's actually no bar. Like, it's not that if you have applied for express entry, or even if you've applied for PR, that you can't apply for a visit visa. You can. Legally, we call it the dual intent. It's only that you have to and you're in an express entry pool. It's not that your PR application has been submitted at this stage. So even if your PR application has been submitted, you can still apply for a visit visa. If your reason for traveling to Canada is a genuine reason, you can apply for the visit visa. Nothing bars. You have to, in your submission, you have to cater to what I mentioned earlier as the dual intent thing, where you this should not be like, basically you have to convince the officer that at the end of your visit visa tenure, you will most likely leave Canada. If you can convince that, even if you've submitted your PR application, that's fine. So, Fionn, do you feel stressed when everyone asks same question again and again? By the way, you make nice videos. Very good question, Sufyan. Yes. So I have staff who work for me, and it's same. Not just this. It's same kind of questions. A lot of people, and I'm saying this out loud today. I hope everybody listens to it. Our firm cannot arrange job offers. Our firm cannot arrange work permits. But this is a question, and there's a lot of queries that we get. So my staff keeps getting these queries on our social media platforms, on our generic email, that if we can arrange jobs or if we can arrange work permits. We cannot. We do not. If you have a job offer, we can help your employer process the LMIA, and we can help you apply for the work permit, but we cannot arrange for. So yeah, you're right. Thanks for asking. It's quite stressful that you have to answer all those things again, and a lot of information that is being asked. If people do put in some time and look at the videos that are uploaded on the YouTube channel and the Facebook page, a lot of answers are there. But that's where the problem is. Many people are not really looking to invest that time, and that's how it is. Poonam Sethi, BA pass in English, Hindi, and music, 2 years gap with no experience, 2 years studies till now in German language. What province and what program do you suggest for study, and then easy PR for female? Poonam, have to have a look at a lot of stuff. If you want case-specific advising, the email address is there on the screen. You can submit a request for a consultation. These consultations are charged. It is 100 Canadian dollars for a 30-minute session. Submit an email, and my staff will schedule it with you, and then I can suggest what are the specific options, if there are any for you. Because there's a lot of calculation that has to be done. I cannot be providing. These forums are not for our legal immigration consulting advice. This is where I just talk about the general policy matters and where people are at times stuck. If you need case specific consultations, you have to request for a consultation session. Arjun, hi Arjun. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing good as well, and all well at my home and family as well. And I'm praying and wishing the same for you. Can you tell me the initial process of provincial nominee programs? Sardar, there are 13 provinces and territories of Canada. Each has its own provincial nomination program. Can't really be telling you all of that. Some programs, watch the videos that are there on my YouTube channel in the playlist of provincial nomination programs. You'll find that some provinces have it through express entry. Some provinces have their own systems. So you have to have a look at each of them. Or as I mentioned, if you want, you can book a consultation session. Asad Azim. Asad is asking, tell me about Open Work Permit Canada. So open work permits are only issued in specific cases. And these cases are if your spouse is on a work permit, if your spouse is on a study permit, or if you've studied in Canada. Otherwise, there is no open work permit. A lot of people want open work permit. It is not granted like that. And for work permit, you must have a job offer from within Canada. Anthony, West does not consider my 2 years masters as masters. What should I do? Please help. So yes, that is an issue, and that's why I keep saying that you need to do a lot of research when you're applying for your ECA. If you are, if you have it like this, now this depends. It's not likely that other bodies will accept your 2 years masters as a masters. If it was a 2 years bachelor's followed by a 2 years masters, most likely most of the places, most of the ECA bodies will recognize this as equivalent to a bachelor's, or at max they'll give it equivalency equal to 2 bachelors. But depending on some instances, you could apply for CES, University of Toronto, only sending in your masters. That's something that you could do. Fazal Basla, I am a clinical psychologist in Pakistan. I am looking to apply for express entry with my husband. Can you please guide which provinces could provide me job offer with MS clinical psychology? See, job offer, I'm not a recruitment consultant. I have nothing to do with HR. I can answer you questions on immigration matters, which keep in mind, you are a clinical psychologist in Pakistan. Here in Canada, you need to have licensing from within the province in Canada to, so you will most likely not be offered a job like this. You will move and then you will do some studies or a conversion exam to become licensed over here. But I cannot help you with the information, which is more of a recruitment consultant. Okay. FC. So should I refrain mentioning anything about my aunt? I have absolutely no clue which stream you're applying for. I can't really. This is case specific advising, and this is legal advice. Until unless I have all the documentation, the case is in front of me, I don't do that. We are at 47-minute mark, so I'll try and speed up. Is there any easiest program with IELTS 6 and no job offer in express entry apart from Alberta and Saskatchewan program? The programs are there. You could, as I mentioned, you have to do the research. Very honestly, IELTS 6, no job offer, I don't know many. If you have a job offer, then there are programs which will accept you for low IELTS score. But see, there is only a certain number that Canada can expect. And the immigration that they are offering, the skill immigration, the purpose is that they want to attract talent from outside of Canada who can move to Canada and be part of the Canadian workforce. Now, definitely, this is like if you go for a job interview, it is the most competitive of all the applicants who's picked. Canada is attracting workforce, labor force, skilled people from outside of Canada. They would want to pick the highest quality. So if you do not have strong language ability, the likelihood of you being successful in Canadian workforce is not very high. So that's why they've put in high language requirements. Now, if in the pool of applicants, they have people who have higher language ability, who have higher qualifications, whose skill set are stronger than other applicants, definitely as somebody who has to pick these people, which is the government of Canada or the provincial governments, they'll go for people who have better credentials. So just take it like that. If you want to move to Canada and get the like be successful in the skilled immigration programs, you have to be in the top tier. You have to have high, strong credentials. Otherwise, there's only a limited number that they can take. So it's competition. So low IELTS, no job offer, and all these things, this is not going to take you anywhere. There are no shortcuts for this. At least I can't really help with anything. Hi, is a bank letter enough for proof of fund? My bank statement has 2 pages of ice cream, 1 page of pizza, and 1 page of coffee. A bank letter is enough, but the amount of money that you'll have in terms of ice cream and pizza and coffee, that will not be sufficient to prove the amount of funds that you have. But a bank letter and a bank statement is enough, as long as if you had the funds in your account for say 4, 5, 6 months, then just a bank statement and a bank letter is enough. Sir, please tell me about temporary residency to Canada. I'm a professional banker having 6 years experience. There's nothing as a temporary residency to Canada. So you get either permanent residency, temporary residence, TRV or temporary resident visas are student visas or work visas. Um, um, Again, just the fact that you have 6 years of experience and you're a banker doesn't really help us assess the case. You can submit your details, which will be your IELTS. You've taken that, your age, marital status, education, work experience. If you have a relative in Canada, send this on the email address, which is there on the screen, info@shariqimmigration.com. My staff will make an assessment and let you know. And if there is a possibility, we'll let you know, and then you can use our services for proceeding further. Or if you want case-specific advising, same email address, info@shariqimmigration.com. Send an email to request a consultation appointment, and my staff will schedule a consultation appointment between yourself and me. And I can advise you specifically on your case. Poonam Sethi, is it the right time to apply for visitor visa? No, absolutely no, unless you have a compelling reason to move. FC, I used to work full time and study full time during my college days. However, I wasn't having a labor card and I was getting paid in cash. What would be required aside of reference letter and offer letter? This is all the documentation that you have. So this is all that you will provide. Najib Sheikh, does that necessary to mention work history of spouse? However, it doesn't have any point. It is not necessary, but you cannot keep any gaps. So either you will say that that person was unemployed for all that time, or you will mention. Now, if you mention work history, you're not required to provide work reference letters for your spouse, just as you're required to provide work reference letters for yourself. It can be just a simple experience letter, and that will work. Mariam Altaf, Assalamu alaikum. I want PR in Canada. I've done MS Applied Statistics recently. I also calculate my CRS score. My score is 469. Which program is suitable for me? If it is 469, Federal Skilled Worker Program is there for you. It's still close to that, but that's a possibility. What are the provinces that knock 1241 in demand? There are hundreds of knocks. I don't have off these my head. You can post this question on one of the social media platforms, and one of my social media team members will get back to you on this. Muhammad Kareem Raza, what about only for doing job visa students? Muhammad, I am sorry, I could not understand your question. So please, if you could explain. Vinod, hello Vinod. I have a doubt regarding request you to help me by clarifying. I'm working in Canada on closed work permit. I have offer letter from Vinod. You can send an email and okay, you're writing. Arjun, I transfer my salary. We're at 55 minutes mark. I transfer my salary to quarterly into my Indian account. If the average balance of funds is as per IRC requirement, is there a possibility of questioning the reason of my bulk transfer during scrutiny? That shouldn't be a problem, Arjun. If you send it, as long as you have the proper documentation, that should be fine. It's your own choice. Like if that's your country of origin and you're living in some other country, you have every right to transfer that money to your country of origin, or even to some other place as well. So they just need to see that you have. Important thing is that you have the ownership and the access of the funds. Vinod, I think you're asking about the 50 points for arranged employment. The important thing is that you need to have a job offer which is for at least 1 year from the time that you are granted PR. So if that documentation is there, then you can claim those 50 points, otherwise not. Okay, I got $13,500 from my parents a month ago. Can I overcome proof of fund by provide a gift deed? Yes. I understand that the fund is, yes, definitely. Get a gift deed, and that's about it, because that creates the ownership of your funds. Fair enough. We do not have any more questions, so I'll try and wrap this up. Quick quick notice to all that I am doing a video series on PNP program. So I upload, and my aim is that I will cover all the PNP major categories and subcategories that are there. So for those of you who are interested in PNP programs, do watch the videos in the PNP playlist on my YouTube channel. For those of you who are watching for the first time, do subscribe to the channel so that you are updated on this. If there are any further questions, you can post that in the comment section, and myself or my staff will be happy to get back to you in due time. It's a long weekend here. Monday is Thanksgiving. So for all of you, wherever in the world you are, for many of you, the weekend might be actually at the end because it's a Sunday. So enjoy the upcoming week. For those who are still enjoying the weekend, do enjoy that. I will meet you again in a week's time through our weekly live session. Would request support on the YouTube channel and the Facebook page by following and subscribing and providing your positive feedback. Any specific topics, if you guys feel, again, do mention that through the comment section, and I would love to work on developing videos and content for that. That's all from my side for today. Hoping, praying, and wishing well for you and your family. Till the next time that we meet, take care. Bye-bye.